welcome back to your Feel Good Breakfast Show. It is Expresso right here on SABC3. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now, there are many acclaimed professions in the world, like being a doctor or a lawyer or even a fireman, but none make you sit up and take note as much as meeting a journalist. Well, the editor of the Star newspaper, Keven Ritchie, takes us behind the scenes into the hard-hitting world of journalism, where you have to be accountable for every word you write and every photograph you take.
Taunted, beaten, arrested, and even killed. These are risks some journalists take to break news of a world sheltered by its borders. Risking it all for a story or photograph is a reality South African journalists know all too well.
The Star is quite an iconic newspaper. You know, myself growing up in Johannesburg, I've seen the country's greatest and even gravest moments playing out in your headlines and in your photography. From the process of planning a story, going out and shooting it, and then reporting it, what are some of the risks involved?
There are risks in everything that we do, but what we've got an incredibly good team here that works at so many different levels, and there's a process that you go through which minimises that risk. And the bottom line is, if it's true and if it's fair, there's no reason not to publish.
Now, of course, as a newspaper, you have to survive by selling your stories, but you don't really want to cross over into the realm of sensationalism. Is there ever a time when the price of a story is too high?
If we're being too sensational and you break the relationship with the readers, then we've done everyone a disservice. If we look at the personal risk to reporters, and especially photographers, news photographers, no story is ever worth that risk. It can never be worth the risk of a life. But as it is, we've lost 2 photographers in the last 20 years. Ken Oosterbrug on the Star 20 years ago, and then, of course, Anton Hamel, chief photographer of our sister title, the Saturday Star. Their deaths can never, ever be equated to the stories that were told. There has to always be a different way of telling a story than costing someone's life.
Roughly 40% of the world's population lives in countries that support freedom of the press. Sometimes, the media relies on citizen journalism to shed light on situations they can't reach.
When we talk of community journalism, we're talking about doing stories that are relevant to the people who read our papers and make them want to come back to either read us or follow us on Twitter or get us on Facebook. If you're Jurassic, just pick up the phone and phone me. The single best thing that we can do is to not shy away from change, but to embrace it. It's change that brought us here in the first place.
Yeah. And for those who absolutely admire what you do and might want to pursue it one day, what does it take to be a journalist these days?
An inquiring mind, somebody who's interested in the society in which they live, and somebody who can walk with kings and talk with commoners, but never lose the common touch, because that's what we do every day, and never ever to want a high salary.
Journalists don't always get the recognition they deserve. Writing an expose or taking a controversial picture is an act of courage that should not go unnoticed. And it's all for the sake of truth, despite the price of a story.